our action too much, but that's the main reason that I am doing this.
Are you sitting here?
What's that?
Are you sitting here?
No,
I'm a big fan of not being recorded.
I don't care.
Snack machine just stole my money.
You're in a
not
bad,
not
bad
been a
place.
good day.
Okay, if you cry, we'll help you.
Marcus, dude, I just need to shoot everybody.
Ah, yes, violence is always the answer. Okay, so show me that you took notes. Show me that that you were engaged in some way with the presentation, and then we can. Well, good.
Willie, hey. How you doing, Willie?
Hey, Willie D.
Good, how are you?
I said, hey, not how are you?
Yeah, that's how it was.
Oh.
It's probably impressed enough.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You doing all right?
I don't really know what I was doing here, but okay.
No, I just
So the homework tonight is on the board, and it will be up. It might already be up. We're going to be reading a little excerpt in your Being Human book from Peter Pan. Not exactly what Disney did with it. Thank you. But a little piece to think about satisfaction and growing up. Good, good. Tucker, Alex. Notes. Excellent. Good, good. I'm trusting you that this is all wonderful stuff. All right.
Do you want to?
Keep it. Oh, thank you, sir. All right. So we need to share essential questions and then get off to a start. So who wants to start for us?
Well,
I have now. Thank you. So who's going to start us off?
Will.
Will has to start us off.
They've decided. Will.
Anyway, so why do accomplishments give us satisfaction? Why do our accomplishments?
Why do we personalize music?
What is the relationship between pursuing passion and being successful?
How is the satisfaction of listening to music and teaching music?
Give me time.
What is the relationship between occupation and satisfaction?
How does one find their niche?
I have no. I mean, it's on Moodle. I don't remember.
Why don't humans always follow their passion?
Okay. I have two that I want to throw on the table, and then I want to go with majority rules about which one we go with. Right. One is, why is passion problematic? Right. And the other one, what is the relationship of practicality and passion? Take a moment to think, and then we'll have a quick vote of which one we should run with today.
Can you
What was the second one?
Ah, good. The first one, why is passion problematic? The we'll start with one and then see if it morphs into the other as possible. The second one is, what is the relationship of practicality and passion?
Ken, what was your essential question?
Relationship between occupation and satisfaction.
Occupation and satisfaction.
It's kind of like Sabrina's.
Yeah.
So, which one should we go with? The short one, number one, why is passion problematic? Or number two, what is the relationship of practicality and passion?
I think number one.
Yeah, I like
two.
Okay, those who want number one, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, me too.
Okay, well, this looks like we have a winner. So, why is passion problematic? That's what I'm going to play with today.
Can I start us off today?
Yes.
I'm right. My sister's husband, my brother-in-law, plays in a band. He's played guitar all of his life, and most of his high school he spent time practicing his music more than studying, I should say. And he even moved out to California for a while, and for a year actually, and just he couldn't make it big. He's not a bad guitar player, but he couldn't make it big. And then the day came where he's playing music, and you got to pay the bills, and now you have kids, and passion might lead you down the wrong direction, and especially from a money point of view, sometimes what you want to do doesn't pay the bills.
So you're saying it doesn't fit society's norms sometimes?
Not
Society's
society.
what?
Society's norms?
Society's norms, of course it does, but I'm saying economically he's not able to.
Well, I don't know about that, Dylan, because isn't a societal norm to kind of grow up, marry
That's-
somebody,
yeah.
and have 3.2 children or whatever?
So
That's
is music something that's considered immature?
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the societal norm, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah,
is
no,
to,
that's-
for two people to have a job, a well-paying job. Usually not passionate. Usually it's a business or government or whatever job, and support two kids, put them through school, and then the cycle repeats itself. That's the norm of society.
How is that a problem?
It's not a problem.
Your point was that he went down the wrong road because you're the wrong road, right?
No.
Then
Ye-
you went down a different road.
No, he went down a different road.
Problematic.
Not the wrong road. It was problematic for him.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is, in this country, you can do whatever you want, literally whatever you want, but sometimes it doesn't make the money. And a lot of times people view, I see what you're saying about the societal norm, that people view your success in how much money you have.
Yeah, that's
Right.
the point.
What's the point you're trying to make then?
Is that part of the society norm is how much money you make and how successful you are, and that the standard is to get through. The standard is like you have to get through enough, be
Okay.
able to pay your bills. That's why it's problematic.
I
It's
agree with
not fitting.
I agree with you, and I would say that the normal person, I guess, is probably kind of dull compared to him. He's very outgoing and he yells a lot and he's fun. So it depends on how you look at it. His personality's awesome. He might not be financially stable.
But we do have two examples, right? From the presentation yesterday, we have two men who loved music and were good performers, if not great performers, and they made some choices. Right? What did they both say? That was also something they wanted
But
rather than
it's
just their
also
music.
interesting to me how they loved what they did, but they chose the careers that they currently have
Mhm.
based on like society's norms of like starting a family.
It's not.
having
I wouldn't
money.
say that at all. I think that they chose their careers because they realized that they wanted to live in a home and not on the street. Because something's got to pay the bills, and if you're not going to make it big, music's one of the hardest industries to make it big in. And if you're not going to make it big, then you pretty much have to be a teacher.
Yeah, I feel like there's financial security contributes to even more satisfaction.
So are we saying that passion is problematic because we don't have enough wealth to support our family or ourselves? Well, I think passion is problematic because you can't always do your passion and support yourself at the same time. Sometimes those two things don't line up. For some people who are really lucky, it does. And some it doesn't.
So would
And
that be the only reason why it's problematic because of your financial state?
I'm sure there's other reasons. But.
We're always stressing the fact that, or not we, but like teachers and your parents, they really emphasize on you getting a job that makes enough money,
Mhm.
but also it's something that you like. But is that realistic? Like, is it realistic to say that you're in the future that you're gonna end up finding something that you really, really like, and that you're also gonna be able to get a lot of money or
Well,
some money to pay your
my-
bills off of?
My parents have never told me that I want you to go out and get a good job that pays well. They tell me that when I get older, they want me to be happy. And whatever I
My
do,
mom says-
and that might be following my passions. Whatever my passion may be, I might find out in college. I don't know. But passion doesn't have to be just rock and roll or like playing music. But passion could be anything. Passion could be your love for another person. Sometimes people put their lives at risk for another person.
Now
So
that's a
why is that-
problem.
Yeah, why
That's
is
a
that
problem.
problematic?
Why is that a problem? Because you're putting your life at risk.
Right.
Is that the most important thing? You living? Is that the most important thing?
Yeah, like if it's problematic, it suggests that there's a problem, obviously. But if you'd rather have someone else live because you love them than have you die, then maybe that's.
Well, to support what you're saying, Sabrina, I mean, when we first started talking about the birthmark, our first graded seminar, most of you thought that Georgiana was sort of this disaster, this passive, useless female, and then we started thinking about she died, but was that the worst thing that could happen to her? And some of you at the end were like, hey, wait a minute, no, maybe that was kind of a good thing, right? So there's the money thing, and then there's the putting your life at risk thing. Do they change the passion? Do they make it not worth it?
Sometimes it's individual. Like I think a lot of people could go through life with more satisfaction, but the issue is that they're not just satisfied with like one thing. They're not satisfied with just having their passion be
Play music, teach, and have a wife and kids.
yeah, like those
Okay.
those things you can't like. You could be happy or satisfied with your passion, but that might not necessarily include room for other passions like having a family.
Are we truly living if we're making all these sacrifices?
Yes, it's being human. You gotta make sacrifices.
I agree.
Especially in my religion, we base everything around Jesus Christ's sacrifice
Made
for
the ultimate
humanity.
sacrifice,
Yeah.
So sacrifice. But so then what's the relationship between passion and sacrifice? We sacrifice everything for our passions?
No, no,
No.
one does.
Maybe we
So-
sacrifice
Or do we sacrifice our passions
passions
for-
for yeah.
We sacrifice our passions for
Uh,
X. What is X?
the problems and the situations that life puts us into.
obstacles.
I'd
Okay.
have to say the opposite to what we said the first thing. It's like
Okay.
we sacrifice other things for our passion. For me, as a gymnast, I've sacrificed a lot of things. I've had to quit baseball. I've had to stop with certain other sports I wanted to play. I go there 20 hours a week. Don't have much free time. Can't spend time with friends. So I think that, I mean, my passion is gymnastics, of course, but I think that it's problematic to where the point is that I don't have much time to have like a life almost, like a social life.
So you sacrifice time. You're
Yeah, that
sacrificing
Yeah,
your
seems,
time.
it seems like a lot of this is coming down to just not having enough time.
And money.
And money, yeah, which drive
Well,
our
you know, you
society.
can, with time, money is easier.
But it's not Eve's fault, right?
Eve's.
Time and money, by the sweat of your brow, you will eat. Adam and Eve, Genesis.
Right.
So we can't follow our passions, or it's problematic to have passions because they get in the way of our animal need.
Of curiosity, of
Oh no, the animal need of shelter and food.
but
you-
if we go ahead, Cole.
Could you just
So
say that
if we're
again?
passionate, just
One of the things that's really fascinating is the constant battle in Western civilization between body and spirit, right? And from the very beginning, the Greeks and the Romans, there's this huge battle. My body is an animal, my spirit is an angel, right? And then, so what does that make me, right? Am I an angel stuck in the mud, or am I a pig with possibilities, right? And so our conversation is going in that angle of some of us have passions, some of us are willing to sacrifice quite a bit for them, others of us, we sort of like the time and the money to pursue other things just because they feel good or our society expects them to, or whatever. It's that there's this battle here, and I'm trying to figure out what are the elements of this battle.
so are you trying to say that passion is shrouding us from the necessities of life?
I think it's the other way around, right? I was going the Platonic route, that as angelic or excellent beings, we let ourselves get dragged down into sex, drugs, and rock and roll and bacon.
Can those not be passions? Can those not be good?
You tell me? Will. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
And bacon.
Passions and bacon.
Yeah, it's passion. There can be.
Okay. What happens if you follow in one or more of those things? Because when you have a passion, I mean, ice hockey, right? I mean, you're kind of like Tucker in a lot of ways, right? You really push, you sacrificed time, experience, opportunity. Is it worth it? I mean, I know you're only like 18, but try to think, 18, 50, 80. Is it worth it?
I certainly think it's been worth it thus far. Because, Tucker said dinner he sacrificed a lot of times. He wasn't able to hang out with friends and stuff.
Mm.
But I've developed friends in hockey.
Okay.
So, I'm spending time with just a different group of friends. And it's just like a different experience from like my everyday life.
Mhm.
That's something that I greatly enjoy. It has hindered my grades a little along the way.
Mhm.
I won't lie about that. So, I guess I've sacrificed some, but I'm not unhappy with the sacrifice.
Okay.
I quit baseball, like summer baseball, which is especially like right now and past summer where everybody in our area, that's when they get recruited to go to college. Like that's the most important year. And I quit because I felt like it was too time consuming and my dad was wasting too much money on it.
Mhm.
It was my choice. And that was something that I felt passionate about for a long time, but one day I just felt indifferent about it and said that it's a waste of time. Because when I'm 40 years old, I guess I can play like softball or something, but like I'm going to look back on it and it's not going to have gotten me anywhere.
That's funny you say that, because I ran into the same problem over the summer with basketball, and I became indifferent towards it, and I've talked about this before. And I'm actually committing to go play basketball in college. So my passion has taken me and helped me get into college. And I thought that it was a big waste of time. But now that I'm thinking about it, I did waste time. Like I canceled appointments with friends. I didn't go to the beach. Like I missed out on some things. But in the long run, it's helping me to get into college. So yeah, I guess you have to weigh it. Like, is it problematic? Yes, in some aspects, but it is also helping me get to where I want to be.
Yeah, but you could also say you would have gotten to college without basketball. You're a
Yeah.
smart person.
Right.
No one's going to say, oh, Sabrina's not going to go to college because she didn't play basketball.
With this particular college, it's definitely going to help. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it wasn't there, I might not get in.
See, I think sports kind of like my cousin Brandon. He has he goes to St. Joe and he can get into Harvard if he has a chance to get into Harvard and Yale and the Ivy League schools because he's just so smart. His grade point average, the SAT scores, everything. But he's sorry.
Say St. Joe's.
What do you?
Mount St. Joe.
Mount
Mount St. Joe. Mount St. Joe.
Private school.
It's a high school.
And he doesn't want to go to Ivy League school because he wants to go to Ball State, Indiana to play D1 volleyball over going to something like an Ivy League school. So it is, in my opinion, it's an illusion to him that he can't see past it. Because I would go to Harvard over playing a sport in college.
I would do.
Yeah. I think it sometimes can be an illusion. It can be fake.
But what
Wait,
if you?
what can be fake?
The sport itself.
Or your passion.
Your passion can be an illusion too.
Illusion to who, though?
Illusion to yourself. You're making yourself blind.
Blind to what?
And
An
the world,
opportunity.
dude.
Yeah.
An opportunity for a higher level of education and then a higher level of career because of that education. If we're continuing Dylan's example.
I mean, most likely yes, but if you really enjoy volleyball, like this guy does,
I agree with that too.
But when he's 50, he's gonna look back on it. Like maybe he
maybe
could have a
will,
good job.
He might be still
Yeah.
happy that he
Yeah.
played volleyball. He might go to Harvard and drop out because he's not like
That's
not
true.
having any fun doing anything. Harvard might suck.
That's true.
Like
Think of the people you're going to meet at Harvard. Bunch of grinds.
Bunch of grinds.
Right?
Think about the people you're gonna meet after Harvard.
Bunch of money
If you get
grinds.
through
Yeah.
Bunch of
Harvard.
Bunch of assholes.
assholes. Successful people.
A lot of successful people are assholes.
Exactly.
Because it's cutthroat and money and it's just cold.
Can you have passion for succeeding in life?
Well, what's success?
Making money and getting a secure job.
Is that
The-
success? Is that success?
The closest thing I can ever think of to answering your question, Ken, is I have seen people for whom making money is an art form. And the numbers in their bank account and their liquidity and all that is purely a way of keeping track of the competitive that they get from winning.
So it's like a game.
It literally is a game to them, right? But most people who I know who push for lots of money, money is the means to the end. I want to retire at 45. You got to make a lot of money to retire at 45
Yeah.
if you've got another 35 to 50 years in front of you, right? I'm actually, related by marriage to a guy who retired by the time he was 45. He gave up a lot. He certainly had passion for making money, but to go back to a previous conversation and to a bad word, I spend as little time with this guy as possible because he is a competitive, nasty, disagreeable human being.
I
Right?
think it's really surprising that he would retire. I feel like he'd miss it, like, because he missed the.
But that's it. See, his thing was his passion was retire at 45. He wanted to be a slug. He wanted to work hard and then be done, and then just do whatever he wants to do. And so he met his goal. He made his millions, right? He had his 2 kids. He got the trophy wife, had his 2 kids, and then 45, he's done. And now he does whatever he wants to do.
That sounds
Awesome.
So I think that for him, it was the money wasn't the passion. The goal, the passion was to reach his goal. I don't know what keeps him breathing now, but I don't care enough to find out.
Sure, it's genuine passion because it's not against anything itself.
Right,
It means
right. I think luxury and freedom were his passions, or maybe still are his passions. And so he's been able to have luxury and freedom by selling his soul to the metaphorical devil between the ages of 16 and 45.
So passion can lead you down a life of selfishness.
Well, you've seen the wallpaper on my laptop, haven't you? Be careful who you pretend to be.
Because you are.
Because you are who you do. I don't know if this guy can ever regain his humanity or his soul.
What did he do?
What's that?
What did he do?
He was a computer shark in the 90s, the 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
what is a shark?
Destroying other companies so that you can loot them.
I mean, what
So he
about-
doesn't-
No. Could you get more specific with that? Like,
Nope. But he was very good at seeing new technologies and seeing how companies weren't going to be able to take advantage of them, and then gutting those companies so that the technology and the proprietary information could be taken and used by companies with more liquidity or with a better position in the market.
She was into trends.
That's like
He was brilliant at it. But maybe I'm talking too much.
I have a
His
similar example.
okay.
What about Steve Jobs? He was I read his biography once, and he's totally an asshole,
Mhm.
complete asshole. Abusing his employers and whatever. But he had a passion for what he did, and as a result, he became who he was.
Which is what?
Which is contributing to technology.
Innovator.
Ken, in what way was he a bad person? Do you
Oh, he would
remember?
like say bad things to his people and just like abuse them
So he's just nasty.
verbally. Yeah.
He screwed
Not
over
really.
some people, I believe, as well, along the way.
Stole their ideas, sicked his
Same
lawyers
with
on them.
Zuckerberg.
Oh yeah.
He was really bad.
What
So
about-
is passion problematic because you're willing to crush anyone who gets in your way, or even your colleagues?
Well, is it passion that makes them do that?
Yes.
Is it passion for the thing that they're good at that
Or is
makes
it their
them be
egos
vicious?
that make them do that?
or their
Yeah.
obsession with being successful at that passion?
Isn't that a passion? An obsession
An
of being
obsession?
successful? Yeah.
Is obsession a passion? I don't know about that because I know a lot of passionate people who don't become obsessed in their passion.
Mhm.
I'm passionate about the saxophone. I'm not obsessed with it.
But if you're obsessed, are you passionate?
If you are obsessed, are you passionate?
By necessity.
Yeah.
No.
I don't believe so.
I think if you're obsessed with being successful, it's a passion of yours to be the best. And that's
Well,
what-
let's break it down. What does the word passion mean?
I can.
It comes
You
from
wanna give us
past.
the
I can give you a
Does
million
it come from
examples, but I
Pasco
can't
and
define it.
greed to suffer.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, you know, the passion of Christ would be sort of how we use that. You know, something that we suffer for. A really strong emotion that makes us willing to go beyond our normal limits. Suffer.
Strong affinity.
Do you suffer for athletics?
Of course.
I think this it's not only can suffer. I think it leads me toward competitiveness,
Okay.
Body
to
suffers.
where I wanna compete to be better than that person.
How does what you just said relate to what he's saying? Well,
Because he pushes himself too hard.
push himself too hard. Right? So one of the problems with passion is we often push ourselves too hard. But how do we decide too hard?
I think you don't decide. I think somebody else will decide for you.
Or your
will
knees.
try and tell
Oh,
you.
it's
Or
how-
your
or
knees.
you're
Yeah.
in the surgery.
Something will tell you, but I don't think people really grasp it. People like get so zoned into what they're doing, they just don't see it.
That's happening.
They have a tunnel vision for their passion.
But what about burnout? Didn't both of them talk about burnout?
Burnout, yeah, that's happened to me a couple times at gym. I've actually fainted from overworking myself sometimes.
But that's kind of like what Dylan was saying, where your body tells you to stop.
It's physical.
Yeah, but that's not burnout. You know, what kind of burnout were Mr. Simon and Mr.
a
Land
mental
talking about?
burnout.
But that's different.
Okay.
They just
Where-
became sick of their craft.
Yeah, when
To
they're bored.
become sick or bored with their craft.
Like with fine music.
I mean, Mr. Land got he played guitar and then he burned out, and then the thing that got him back into it was teaching. It was something different.
Sax, but yeah.
It was.
Was Land played the sax?
He played the piano, then he played the saxophone.
Okay.
Piano and sax. He started teaching.
Yeah, so it was the same thing, but it was just a different aspect of a way of looking at it.
I'm still confused about our definition of passion. Things that we suffer for.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't. If someone's passionate, like I'm trying to think of someone I know who's passionate about something.
Mhm.
Like let me for instance, so we say, like Ryan Lundergan is passionate about athletic things. I don't, and he doesn't specify a sport because he changes his sport every
He burns
every
out.
year or so.
Mhm.
But and he does burn out at that. But I can't think of a lot of things that I know that people are like passionate about things like that they suffer for them and they like
I
go
mean,
way out of their way to do like.
If you define suffer, it's essentially taking away from your life, so like kind of, to where if you're passionate about something, you're, as we said, like you could risk losing money, time management.
Well, I suffer for not doing my homework sometimes. Does that mean I'm passionate about not doing
Do we have
homework?
the definition of passion?
We have a couple of definitions, but hold that thought, because I think you're onto something useful, Cole. So there are a couple definitions here. First definition comes exactly from what you were saying, Marcus. Good job. This idea of to suffer, a Latin pati, or passio, suffering, being acted upon, being passive, right? And the main definition that people, I think, use today is more along the lines of emotion. The emotions as distinguished from reason, intense, driving, or overmastering feeling or conviction, an outbreak of anger, ardent affection or love, and those are synonyms. Right? So a strong desire or an object of desire or deep interest. You see those two definitions? One, there's a desire, a moving toward, and then there's this idea of,
Interest.
what's that?
The interest.
The
part.
interest being so strong that I'm willing to suffer to get that thing.
It's relationship, aspiration and action, right?
Maybe. Like, I'm willing to be publicly humiliated to get the girl that I want.
Some people. Yeah.
Some people.
A lot of people.
Well, you know, yeah, the whole
Yeah.
sex thing. But I mean, there's so many other passions out there. So, what was the thing you were saying before we?
So I suffer quite a lot actually for not doing work or homework. So
Okay.
am I passionate about not doing homework?
No, that's stupid. What is he passionate about, folks?
Something else.
Being lazy.
Something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is
Something
the
else is getting in the way.
The not doing the homework is just collateral damage. What's the thing you're going towards?
Well, no. So here's the thing, though, because there's not something that I solely envelop my time with when I'm not doing that. It really
Mhm.
doesn't matter. Like it could be sleep. It could be watching Netflix. It could be hanging out with people. It could be doing almost actually nothing too.
So
Okay.
it's
Like
the freedom
social
of your
activities.
time that you're passionate about. That the fact that you don't have anything to keep you or make you do anything.
Cool. I think I understand. You just don't like having, maybe you just don't like the responsibility or having that thing on your shoulders. Whenever you're free and you don't have to do anything, that's like when you're blissful. I
So
guess.
freedom. Is
Freedom.
freedom is passion?
Yeah.
You willing to suffer for your freedom?
Oh, of course. People have done it all throughout history.
Okay.
That
What have
doesn't
your
sound so
peers
much
done
nicer.
to you?
Yeah.
You're welcome. Right. So, is your passion problematic?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem.
Cool. Why don't you try doing your homework in like a free period?
I do.
That's the only time it goes.
All right.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. But it's
Cole's passion is not problematic anymore.
no, it still is.
If he actually does it on a regular basis,
Yeah.
enough to change his grades.
Well, what if this is like tricky because what if he doesn't what if him not doing his work doesn't get him into a good college? If that's not problematic to Cole, then it's not problematic. Like it's all relative to what Cole wants to do.
Yeah.
Like if you get into HCC and you're like, yay, I'm not dropping out. Like
Forget HCC, just, lives in his parents' basement, plays video games all day.
I mean, if
Till he
that
dies of old
appeals
age.
to if that appeals to Cole, then is it really problematic because he got his passion and he's not suffering?
But he said that he suffered from his grades.
Right. But Cole, how did you suffer?
I suffered because my parents made me suffer. They did things and took away things that I enjoyed having or doing.
I think there's two kinds of suffering. One is you suffer because knowing that you're suffering for your ends, and the other one is you suffer because other people are making you suffer, like your parents.
Which one's easier to bear, Ken?
Not sure.
Well, I have to say, I guess I have been suffering, but it's really not like I'm not like in despair over my suffering for the ends. Like when my parents made me suffer, when they did things I didn't like or took things away from me or whatever, like I don't know if like it kind of consciously occurred to me that I was doing it for my passion of freedom, which is I'm going to now refer to it as. But
Have we created a monster?
but it was much easier to bear knowing that I was the one who was making the decision to do it.
Yes.
So like the fact that I was kind of able to make the decision not whether I was doing the work or I had the control,
Mhm.
that made the suffering that they put on me easier to deal with.
It used to be like you. You used to do the same exact thing. Just like I could have my homework right in front of me and all I'd have to do is just write something. But I would just be like, no, I'm not doing it. Just choose not to do it. I'm not gonna waste my time.
You think it's a waste of time?
Not anymore. No. And especially when I was like a freshman, this is true. When I was a freshman, I believed that school was all part of the system made up by the government, and I just wanted to rebel and didn't want to be a part of it. So I didn't do homework or anything.
I think some homework is a giant waste of time. And
Some
sometimes I
would.
elect not to do it because I feel like the time spent doing it isn't worth the grade and I just won't do it. I mean, granted, for big assignments, it's always
Yeah.
I have
Right.
to do it, but little stuff.
Yeah.
See, I did that for big assignments too. I
Yeah,
just
that was
decided-
your problem.
I just decided
Yeah.
I didn't want to do assignments. I just wouldn't do them until much later when it became apparent that I had to basically do it.
Good luck in my class.
Yeah.
I get that because like busy
Culture
work,
to the standard
you know,
of
like some like
curriculum.
just like definitions and stuff. I don't like that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
think it is pointless. But for stuff like for this class or like where you read something and you have to write about it and you have to formulate ideas, I think that's valuable.
I mean, it's valuable, but doesn't mean that I want to do it.
No.
Well, wait a
Like,
minute. I
if
think
you-
we're getting away from
Right.
what passion really means, right? We've gone to this, not doing homework can be a passion of something you're moving toward, possibly moving towards freedom or laziness or whatever. But often the things we do are running away from. So let's keep it really simple. Things you're running toward. Tucker, how many times have you not done homework because it got in the way of your passion?
Actually, I put school over gymnastics 'cause I
Mhm.
want to pass and I don't want to go to like bad college or
Then-
I want to get into college. But usually,
Mhm.
if I have too much homework, I'll either skip gym or go home early. So it doesn't really hinder me. But sometimes I totally forget that I had homework.
Mhm.
I get home at like 9:30. I'm just like, I can't do this. I'm going to bed.
Mhm.
So sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
I think passion is problematic because it is striving for something, and we as a society doesn't necessarily encourage that to happen.
What do we encourage? We've already said it. What do we encourage?
Relax.
Monetary.
Money,
successful,
kid, 2 kids, wife, husband.
and freedom.
Okay, and freedom. Man, talk about lying to you from both sides of our mouths.
I feel like we've explored this question a lot. I was really interested in your other one.
Oh, let's play with it. Let's throw it on the table. What is the relationship of practicality and passion?
Practicality.
Yeah.
Just simplicity almost. What do you mean
Yeah, like
practicality?
Like pragmatic, like that kind of.
So what is
practicality?
define what's pragmatic? Like I think I know what it means, but like
Can we define practicality?
What's practicality?
Yeah.
A realistic approach to something.
Practical.
Is anyone else?
is that correct? Like I that's what I thought it was, but
Yeah.
or like a
I see the
logical
dictionary.
or-
That's why such questions are so much fun, right? What are the possible meanings that we can play with? Right?
I really don't know what practicality means.
I think that the difference between the relationship between practicality and passion are complete opposites because I feel like a lot of times in your practicality is driven by the logic side of your brain while passion is driven by the emotional side. And so it's not really practical to spend your entire life working on an instrument to let's say you choose not to teach, let's say you just try and do gigs to make 15 grand a year. Whereas if you spend all that time doing a different hobby that you may sort of like but not love and make above 50 grand a year, it seems much more practical or
Mhm.
pragmatic to just do that. But for some reason, passion gets in the way and you do stuff that doesn't seem reasonable sometimes.
Yeah, I agree, but Mr. Wen took into account his practicality to preserve his passion. If he didn't get into teaching, then he would.
Well, I think he sacrificed a little bit, I would argue, of his passion to teach. And,
It was a way of like perpetuating the passion.
but he's also doing what he likes, but he's not able to. I mean, I guess at the end he did say like teaching became a passion, so I guess it kind of switched for him.
But what did he sacrifice when he switched to teaching?
Well, if teaching wasn't his passion, which it was, which I just realized now, but like
Eventually it became.
Eventually it became.
Well, I
but
think
in the
it's-
beginning, he was sacrificing time with his because if you're teaching students, you're not exploring your possible like music. You're not benefiting yourself really, unless you're with a really advanced student. But if you're just teaching like beginner level stuff, like you're not going to better your own music or better your own self. That's what you're sacrificing.
I think he's a very unique person though that he was able to do that. I don't think that a lot of people
Unique.
Can,
We had 2 of them.
well, yeah, I
Simon
know.
and Lynn.
Yeah, and they're
Okay.
both music teachers. And like they both have a very specific passion,
Mhm.
and then a very specific way of kind of outletting that passion into a more practical method, basically.
Mhm.
I don't think I think a lot of people's passions are difficult to translate into another more practical version of those things.
Are we getting the most out of life when we choose a more practical route or when we follow our passions?
Most out of life. Well, can you define most out of life? Is it breadth? Is it depth? What do you mean?
It's like being happy with a life of course.
Like getting the full experience.
Yeah.
Passion.
Well, you definitely lose stuff when you go for your passion. Like, I'll give you a personal example. My cousin, she's really brilliant, and she went to UVA, and she had a passion for studying, like, Middle Eastern culture. So she spent a considerable amount of time in Egypt, and she got her master's and eventually her PhD, and she spent so much time over there, like, writing her paper and doing stuff that really has no career outlet. And during the time, she didn't pick up any, like, teaching, like, side minors or anything. So when she finished her PhD and she actually married somebody from Egypt,
she had a hard time finding a job, even though she's like extremely smart and had her PhD from UVA, but she just didn't pick up anything practical along the way, so it took a long time to get a job out of that.
She did get a job.
What was her job?
She now is a teacher at a small university and teaching like religious studies in a small university in North Carolina. But it took a couple years, and I mean now she has kids and she doesn't have a whole lot of money, if
Right.
any. And if she didn't have family, she'd be in big trouble because of that.
So
Because of
she
passion.
followed passion much more than practicality.
Yes, much.
Okay.
Is there an instance where it's the opposite and your passion gets in the way of practicality? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Like when I was at the University of Virginia, about a half of the people in the history department that I was at, almost half of my year were people who were lawyers, worked for the government, or military members who, in their late 20s, early 30s, hated their stupid, boring lives and decided to drop out and become useless history PhD candidates.
Okay.
And I thought that was really weird because I was a straight through, right? I went straight from undergrad. I was like, history. And I went in, and so that I was with a bunch of people who were 10 years older, 10, 15, 20 years older than me, who had stepped away from a practical life. Some of these people were making six figures, and back in 1992, that was some righteous money. They stepped away from it in order to live like a monk, have no money, go into debt in order to get a degree in history.
It's like that guy in Emory who left Emory to go be in the woods to fulfill his passion of like a deeper meaning of life or something. like
Oh,
that.
right. Okay.
Chris Pine.
Chris McCandless.
Chris McCandless.
Yeah.
Can the average person find enough happiness by following their passion to make it worth the sacrifices?
I don't know.
Hmm?
LeBron James. He found passion in basketball. He probably practiced every day.
Well, that's when you're passionate. It was, for him, the practical thing for him to do was to become a basketball player. When you're 6'8", freak athlete, come from Akron, Ohio,
Mhm.
that's the practical thing to do.
Wait, but.
So it was
in
both.
What way is
Yes, it was
LeBron
both.
average though?
Yeah,
That I realized
Yeah.
that as I said it. I'm just trying to find an example of someone who pursued their passion and became extremely successful. And I guess you could come up with a million other examples.
Artists.
Yeah.
But like that's what I'm trying
Bill
to say
Gates.
though. You can come up with examples of people who are very clearly very deviated from the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Like can an average person who doesn't become absurdly successful be happy?
I think you've run into a trap, right? And it's a linguistic trap. Average, there is no average person, right? Average is an abstraction that we throw on a population, right?
Yeah.
Within this bell curve, within this particular population, average is right here. But I think that's an abstraction. I think everybody has the chance. I mean, imagine if Mr. Land had said no to teaching, had said no to girlfriend, wife, kids, had said no to a regular paycheck, and just pushed his music as hard as it could go, either as a performer or a producer or a manager or whatever. Who knows what he could be, right? And would he be, you know, the new CeeLo, right? Or yeah,
He could, or he could
could
be
be
living in
homeless.
the streets in Baltimore.
right. And he could be panhandling in Baltimore with a heroin addiction because he reached for the stars and
Yeah.
couldn't get out of the gutter.
But isn't he successful in what he's doing now? I mean, he's raising a nice family. I've met
Do you,
his kids.
from the presentation, do you think he is? Is
Oh,
he a
yeah.
successful man?
I think he's he's an example of someone who did that, but I think that his is very unique because I don't think
We're
a
all
lot-
unique, Cole.
I,
Each one of us is a unique individual.
I think he's a rare
Pretty boring.
form because I think that most passions don't translate so easily. Like,
Well-
like he was able to translate his passion for music
Mhm.
and playing his own instrument into a passion for teaching music and his own instrument. But I feel like if you were like really passionate about like I don't know, I feel so it's like I guess like maybe just be a teacher if you want to be try and like be passionate about something. Just
It's
be
the fallback for everybody.
The fallback for everyone to be a teacher.
I feel like a lot of passions can't be categorized as easily as just like I want to follow music and then there's this path for music. Some people's passion can be like something small and obscure, or something big, or something that is not normal, or something that's not normally done. So they might lose interest in their passion a lot. Yeah, yeah, that's
I'm
definitely true.
confused.
Where Mr. Land, he followed his passion and he burned out, and then he starts teaching kids, and then he has a family, and he's starting to make money. Now, I would say that he's a very successful person. I'd say that he's happy. He's doing what he wants to do.
Mhm.
Teaching. I mean, it sounded like he had great joy in like teaching kids, and he was like smiling up there when he was talking about the kids, smiling and saying, "Oh, I got it," and just like truly enjoying it. So it really does depend on who you are. Like some passions lead to different types of happiness and much different directions than music would.
I'm so confused about the burnout part. Like, if you have a passion, isn't that supposed to be like?
No, I think the desire to be successful, the desire to not be a failure is larger than any passion you can ever have. And if you're mediocre at what you're doing, or you feel like you've hit a roadblock in your passion, whatever that may be, I feel like that leads you to burnout because you have like an innate desire to not feel
So
like
it's
a
not
failure.
burnout because of the thing that you're doing. It's burnout by the.
I think if you hit a wall and you feel like it's much harder to advance or it's not worth the time or something, and I feel like that's when burnout happens because you really like humans have a desire to
Succeed.
Some
or
people,
to not be.
Some people don't care if they succeed or not because they're so passionate about what they do. They just keep doing it. Like Edison, I think he failed like 10,000 times in his burn or something, and he succeeded eventually. But most of the times he failed, and he didn't care. He just kept doing it.
Well, I'm not saying you give up after one failure. I'm just saying if you start not being able to see the light anymore at what you're doing, then I feel like that's when you start to question your passion.
But like maybe those people aren't actually truly passionate though,
Yeah,
because
that's my.
like if like with Edison, like obviously there was a passion there, and he was successful in a lot of different things. He had many failures, but we don't remember him for his failures. We remember him for his successes. So
Yeah, maybe we need to get a loser to come in and talk to you guys.
yeah.
Right? I mean, I tried to do this thing and it just didn't work, and here I am, and it's miserable. Wouldn't that be fascinating?
You really should do that.
But then again, that leads me to the question of, if you're a loser, well, don't most people when they lose, they change the rules of the game?
Yeah.
I'm not a loser because I didn't reach this, but I got this other thing. Now, is that delusion? Or is that just self-protection? Or is that something that humans do?
Maybe he, as he got older, his state of mind changed. That he liked different things. He got satisfaction in different things. I quoted him yesterday, and him saying that satisfaction is flux and it's constantly changing. And I had no idea what he meant by that, but I was fascinated by it. And I think that relates to this perfectly. I don't know how. But
As we
somebody jumps in and helps
change.
me out.
As we change, we are satisfied by different things.
Yeah.
Or if that goal becomes impossible, we set our sights somewhere else. For example, let's say you blow out your knee, no possible chance of fixing it, right? What happens to your ice hockey?
I don't play anymore.
Okay, you don't play anymore. Does that mean you never want to hear about ice hockey? You throw away all your trophies, you give away all your stuff, you never watch the games. What do you do?
As a coach.
Okay,
I
could
could
become a
be.
coach.
Could. I don't think
That's exactly what Mr. Land did, right?
that's
Basically
actually-
became a coach, yeah.
I think there's more opportunities to be a music teacher than an ice hockey coach, though.
Yes, very true.
But I don't think personally I would become a coach.
Mm.
I think I would just become a fan and reminisce about the old days.
So you and some beer.
Yeah.
Okay. But do you
I
see?
like how you associate reminiscing with beer.
Yeah.
Well, you've all seen old men sitting around drinking beer. What are they like?
Entertaining.
They, like, reminisce about like the old times. Like when they're watching TV, they'll be like, "Oh, I did it just like that guy."
But
Back in my day.
I might pick up sled hockey or something else.
Sled
related.
hockey.
It's like it's basically for like paralyzed people, like paralyzed in the legs. Like
Oh,
missing
it's like
legs.
wheelchair
Yeah,
basketball,
basically
yeah.
the same thing. I
Okay.
might do that. I might not. But like it's an
Mhm.
option, and if I was
Mhm.
really missing it, I'd find something to do.
Right. So is it practical? I guess going back to the second question.
So is
Good.
would the heroic thing to do for your passion is if, like, let's say your whole passion in life is to become a professional ice hockey player and you broke your leg, would the heroic thing to do would just be to kill yourself at that point, if that's all you ever wanted? Is that what?
I wouldn't do
I know you. I know. I don't want to make this like a personal example.
Would be
but, like,
selling out if you didn't.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is that what you're going
Yeah.
for?
Yeah. Exactly. I
'Cause
don't
it-
want to
'cause
make this
isn't-
just to
isn't
you
that
either. This
phrase-
is to everybody. I just wanted to use an example.
That phrase "sellout" isn't that a powerful, dangerous? Because you sell. I'm giving something to someone else to get money, usually, or some other kind of remuneration. But I'm not going after my main goal. right? I'm an artist, but I need the money, right? And then you sell out your talent in order to get the money, or you make crummy movies or whatever, crummy art so that you can get a regular paycheck.
I think it's very hypocritical in the capitalist like society we live in, like to say sellout. Like people like put down artists for being a sellout when they're selling out every single day when they go to work. They're selling out whatever they're doing to get paid. They're like everything is sold. Like your labor is being sold
Okay.
for payment. That's literally what everyone does every single day.
That's a really good point.
That's why I don't like that. I hate when people say that guy's a sellout. I'm like, it's dumb. Like everyone's selling out all the time.
Really? Everyone?
Yes, you're selling out right now. Someone's paying you to do this. That
Okay.
basically the term sellout is saying that you shouldn't be being paid to do that. That's so dumb. That's what everyone does for everything.
Well, I think you're only seeing half of the issue, right? I think the other side that I didn't hear you say is that what is possible, right? Like Hudgens can actually teach here, right? But because he loves living near Baltimore where his wife works, and because he likes living in this area, he's teaching here.
That's not what sellout means in my eyes. Sellout is like you are taking something that could be
Playing for a mediocre
pure
team for more
by-
money,
not- yeah.
or playing for a team that you could make into a superstar team for less cash. That's how I see sellout.
Yeah, but that's to me that seems different than your.
Well, it's the difference between 1 million and 4 million, right? You take the 1 million contract to play for a team that can really push you to your best level, or you take the 4 million for a team that doesn't really need you, but they've got the cash.
Cole, I can tell you one line of work that doesn't sell out every day. Those are soldiers. They get paid very little amount, but they're fighting just because they have a passion of protecting the country.
Or doctors.
Yeah. Well,
That's not true at all. Dylan.
you don't think so
No,
at
there
all?
are millions. I've not millions. There are plenty of soldiers who go there because they have nothing else to do. No.
Okay,
else.
but there's just as many on the side that they want to just protect this country, that they want to fight for us,
Well,
for
yeah,
mine
but
and
the
your safety.
occupation in itself is not necessarily not selling out. Like it's like there's nothing else to do, so I'm gonna go be a soldier.
That's
Like,
not it
I,
at all.
I know a guy who literally did just that.
I know
He didn't
my
go to college,
brother
he
who
did nothing with
has
his life.
wanted to be a Marine since he was 3 years old.
So both
Now he's a
exist.
Marine.
How's it useful to us?
Well, he just said the career in and of itself is like one that doesn't sell out. I'm just saying that's not true. It's something
And of course the bell is the irritating time.
Oh, I'll get it. I'll
So,
get it.
you know what the homework is. Hopefully some of this conversation will be useful for us